And welcome back, my faithful students. This is your favorite teacher, Mr. Jacobson, coming to you again from somewhere in LA. That's all I have to say. And that rhymes. Okay, enough being silly. It's good to have you all here. We're going to be talking about the Crusades. We're also going to talk about how Jews were treated in medieval society, and then we're gonna end it from there. So today will be fairly straightforward, and then the following week we will end with the Black Plague and also the social repercussions of the Black Plague. So we're almost finished with medieval Europe. I hope you really enjoyed and got a lot out of the the times and the meanings and the thinking that happened back then. All right, let's begin. Okay, so here we have a medieval Islamic conquest. Uh, we talked before how the rise of Islam led to eventually they conquered Jerusalem. Well, the people in the East, or the West, meaning the medieval society in Europe, they didn't like that. They felt that Jerusalem should be conquered by Christians because it was the capital of Israel, and they linked Jesus Christ and Christianity to Israel, even though the Jews did not follow Jesus Christ nor accept his teachings. But they still thought it was their duty to liberate Jerusalem from the Muslims, and so they started what we now call the Crusades, and there are many of them. So the Council of Clermont is in about 1095. We have Pope Urban II, and he calls out all Europe to crusade against the Muslims. Now, he ordered Europeans to capture the Holy Land, and he was declaring it Deus Vult, which is God wills it. So we have the head of the Catholic Church who is saying that we must liberate Jerusalem, and God wills it, meaning God has basically sanctioned that we do this. And many people that were strong in the Christian faith, and especially knights in that time as well, they were defenders of Christianity, and so they had to go do so if their lords wanted them to. So the First Crusade was fought by armies made up of knights and peasants from many kingdoms of Western Europe. Now they traveled over land and by sea towards Jerusalem and captured the city in July 1099, massacring its inhabitants and establishing the kingdom of Jerusalem. So the the Crusaders from Europe, they conquered Jerusalem in the First Crusade. It was a decisive victory. However, they slaughtered pretty much anyone who was an inhabitant of Jerusalem, whether that was a Muslim or a Jew. So it's clear from history that the Christians kind of look down on Jews. They don't, just because they're trying to liberate Jerusalem didn't mean they cared about the Jews. They didn't. They despised the Jews. At least that's what history kind of shows, because we have Jewish records of Jews saying that what they were more scared when the Europeans, when the Crusaders conquered Jerusalem, because they just started slaughtering people. At least under the Muslim rule, they felt there was a little more safety going on. So take that for what you will. The Kingdom of Jerusalem, along with other Crusade states, was established in 1099 as a result of the First Crusade. Godfrey was its first king. Okay, so a trimmer, French for overseas, was the general name given the Crusade state established by the First Crusade. The county of Edessa, or Edessa, not Edessa sounds about right. The Principality of Antioch, the country of Tripoli and the kingdom of Jerusalem. So here you can kind of get an idea of the kingdom that was established, and here are um, some of the major cities that were established in them. We have the Battle of Hattin. We have Saladin was a Kurdish Muslim warrior, founder of the Ayyubid dynasty and Sultan of Egypt and Syria. His army defeated the armies of the Crusader states in a decisive battle at the Horns of Hattin near Tiberias in 1187. So now we have Saladin. He's a warrior and he reconquers Jerusalem. And so thus began the Second Crusade. And so now they're going back because, heaven forbid, Jerusalem is conquered by a Muslim uh, kingdom of some kind. So they went back, and it was called by Pope Eugene the Third after the Crusader. And so they wanted to recapture the city. And I'm gonna go ahead and let you go ahead and read that just for the sake of time. In 1187, Saladin, Sultan of Egypt and Syria, recaptured Jerusalem. Pope Gregory the Seventh called for another crusade, this time led by Philip II of France, Richard I of England, and Frederick I, the Holy Roman Emperor. Frederick drowned on the way in 1190, and most of the Holy Roman army returned home. The Crusaders defeated the Arabs, but did not retake Jerusalem. Richard made a truce with Saladin to allow pilgrims to enter Jerusalem. So they beat the army, however, they didn't take the city, but there was a negotiation where, hey, will you at least let the people from Europe make pilgrimage to Jerusalem? And that was agreed by Saladin and who was that? Frederick? No, not Frederick. Richard. Richard the Lionheart. So then, the Fourth Crusade was called for in 1202 by Pope Innocent III. Most of the Crusaders came from France. The Crusaders lacked funding and were in debt to the Venetians. They provided ships and sailors for the adventure. The Crusaders sacked Constantinople in 1204. So they go as far as Constantinople and they sack it, meaning they conquer it and destroy it. Constantinople at this point was conquered by Muslims. In 1213, Pope Innocent III called for all Europe to join a new crusade. So here's the Fifth Crusade. The Crusading armies were led by Leopold the Sixth of Austria and Andrew the Second of Hungary. Oliver, there's a lot of names going on here. Anyway, they joined John of Benin, ruler of the Kingdom of Jerusalem, Hugh the First of Cyprus, and lots of other names as well, against the Ayyubids of Egypt. The Crusader army attacked Damietta in Egypt, but were held by the Ayyubids at Cairo. The crusade ended in agreement for an 8-year truce. Fifth Crusades continue. So here are all the peoples that were mentioned in the previous slides. You can kind of see their pictures. Sixth Crusade. Holy Roman Emperor Frederick II was excommunicated by Pope Gregory IX in 1227 for failing to lead a crusade. Frederick I used the threat of war to negotiate a truce with the Sultan of Egypt, Al-Kamil, giving Jerusalem, Nazareth, and Bethlehem to Europe for 10 years. So you have a pope who's really upset by we have here Pope Gregory the Ninth gets really upset with Frederick II because he doesn't want to go to war. He doesn't see the need. So what he did is he negotiated a contract, a settlement here with Al Kamil, giving Jerusalem, Nazareth, and Bethlehem to Europe for 10 years. Instead of then come out and they all duke it out and they're all very tired, he says, just give us this for 10 years and then we'll figure it out after that. Seventh Crusade. King Louis IX of France organized crusade against Egypt from 1248 to 1254. After the Knights Templar were defeated by Arabs in 1243, the crusade failed to reconquer any territory. The Eighth Crusade, the Ninth Crusade. Need I go on? You read it. You can process it. The Knights of Hospitaller. So these knights, they were Christian organizations. They began in Jerusalem in 1080, and they wanted to provide care for the sick and the poor, the pilgrim who would try to make pilgrimages to the Holy Land. So during the First Crusade, it became a religious and military order charged with defense of the Holy Land. It became one of the most powerful forces in the region with 7 forts and 140 estates in Jerusalem. The order later returned to its humanitarian origins. Since 1834, it has been known as the Sovereign Military Order of Malta. So it still kind of is around today. They don't call it what they called it before. And then we have the Knights Templar. Knights Templar, the Order of the Temple, was founded after the First Crusade of 1096 to ensure the safety of Europeans. Pilgrimage to Jerusalem. The order was officially endorsed by the Roman Catholic Church and became a major economic and military force in Europe. So the Knights Templar get really popular, they get really strong, they get really powerful, and then they slowly start losing their power as it goes further on. I'll let you read the rest of that. Bottom line, the Mamluk dynasty took control of Egypt shortly after the Battle of Damietta. Damietta. The Mamluk Sultanate ruled over Egypt from 1250 to 1517. In 1291, the Mamluks conquered the city of Acre, the last stronghold of the Crusader state. The city, of course, was completely destroyed, and all survivors either are executed or sold into slavery. And that's pretty much the Crusades in a nutshell. We're going to jump just quickly over to medieval Jewish life. Okay, I'm going to give you a chance to read that on your own. This is basically the position of the Catholic Church as far as the Jews go, and they basically say don't make these people don't try to force them into baptism by violence. You know, you can teach to them, preach to them about Jesus, but leave them alone nonetheless. But there was also about issues. Well, you just read up and you'll know. So the expulsion and murder of Jews. So the Jews were driven out of England in 1182 and 1290, out of France, and in 1394, and out of numerous districts of Germany, Italy, and the Balkan Peninsula between 1350 and 1450. Bottom line, Jews aren't finding a very safe place to go in medieval Europe. Many migrated east to Poland and Russia. Jews were killed or expelled for various reasons during the Second Crusade. Jews were murdered as revenge against Jews who fought to protect the Jerusalem. So, not a lot of goodwill towards the Jews. During the Black Death, Jews were killed out of fear that they had caused the disease. So, people are even blaming them for the Black Death. In reality, however, they were often killed to cancel debts that local leaders owed to Jewish money lenders. And so Jews got really good at becoming money lenders or bankers, and so people would make history is showing that these people would use the Black Death as a scapegoat to kill Jews that they were indebted to. And here we have a little bit more information on that. I'm going to let you go ahead and read that. Jews' livelihood. Jews were often excluded from guilds for skilled craftsmen. Not a lot of Jews were able to be craftsmen. Jews living in cities often became middlemen in various trades. They became wholesalers and distributors of farm goods as well as importers and exporters. The church forbade Christians from practicing usury, loaning money, but allowed Jews to become money lenders. Jews became responsible for funding large-scale commercial trade throughout Europe. Jews fleeing persecution in Germany were welcomed in Poland in 1096. The Golden Age of Jews in Spain. The Umayyad Caliphate of Cordoba tolerated its Jewish population. Notice Umayyads, they're not traditional Europeans, they're not Christians. They are Muslims. This time is known as the Golden Age of Jews in Spain. Many great Jewish philosophers lived during this time. The greatest was Maimonides. And that's that. So we're going to go ahead and end right there. Go ahead and write your summary. Make sure that it's 1 page long. Make sure that it is 12 size font, 1.5 spaced, and what's the other one? Oh, either Times Roman, Calibri, or Arial in your font style. And I look forward to seeing you at the first of the week. If you have any questions, go ahead and email me. Until then, we'll see you. Bye bye.